Hi, I'm Good Breather, and you're listening to a Rated R podcast.
Can we eat?
And it's another episode. Yay! Welcome back, everybody. It's the Rated R show. As usual, my name is Nils Christian, but you can call me G. And somewhere in the south part of England, I think we have Bamm.
Yes, boys and girls, welcome back to another Rated R show. My name is Bamm Havoc, and today we're going to bring you some opinions on things, and hope there'll be some news splattered and speckled across the old bits and pieces. But yes, G, what do you have for me today, mate?
Well, as you said, later on some opinions about E3, to the extent that we actually bothered watching it this year, because, let's face it, it's the same every year. But on the newsy side, a bit of, the Sun having a twin, some GTA 5 stuff, and I guess some pirating stuff.
Okay, E3 for me was boring, but, the bit about us being a binary system, please explain this to me.
Yeah, so it's one of those that it's actually been coming up a lot over the last couple of decades, that we might have had another sun here in our little solar system. It might have been a binary system. And they called it Nemesis, the other sun, because it was estimated about 500 astronomical units away, which is 500 times the distance between the sun and Earth. And out there, it was knocking rocks basically into the inner solar system and hitting Earth and all the other planets.
But I thought we had a reasonably thought out model of how the planets migrated inwards from the outer planets to become inner planets and all that jazz. I thought that's how it happened.
Yeah, it's been one of those, there have been various theories, and the migrating inward is still, the best one we have. But recently somebody looked at Perseus, the Perseus cluster, and there's basically a huge cloud of stuff there. And when I say huge, I mean really huge. It's about 600 light years away. They looked at how the stars are formed there and how they are depending on their age, because there's ways to measure the age of a star. And basically saying, well, how many of them are formed alone, how many of them are formed as binaries, and what happens to the binaries. And it's something like almost all of them form as binaries, and of those, about 60% lose the other star. The other star wanders off within a few 100 million years.
Well, hang on. We are like a third or fourth generation solar system. So is this like concrete proof that we are our sun, our star called the Sun, actually has a binary out there somewhere? Or is this like one of the older generation systems that might have had a binary?
So technically our sun is actually called Sol, S-O-L. But this one is the current sun here, because you're right, there were at least two other suns here. Oh, there were two suns that blew up at some point. One begot the other, and that begat us. But this one had a twin, plausibly, as they said. They modeled the behavior that they're seeing in the Perseus molecular cloud, and the only model they can find, the only thing they can build that matches what they're seeing, would also result in us having two stars. And then, as said, one of them buggered off.
You see, I'm having difficulty believing that we are a binary system. I'm just struggling to believe that part. That part's a bit of a stretch. But to be brutally honest, mate, it's feasible. I understand it. I just think it's a bit, bit of a stretch.
Well, here's the thing. These binary systems form not as two identical stars, but they form as a larger and a smaller one. And ours might very well have been the larger one and therefore capable to hold on to the planets, where the other one then left. And remember, this would be 4.5 billion years ago. So, it's gone. We can't even look out there and say, where is it? We would have to study our immediate neighborhood in the galaxy for a while to figure out, oh, that one is moving in a way that it might have been from over here. But even then, it would be quite a distance away. Because remember, one rotation where we are is 250 million years. And it's a faint star because it's likely smaller than ours, colder than ours, etc. So they can't find it, but it plausibly happened. There's no concrete evidence. There's just the models they have right now says that it would have been there. And it fits all the other observations with something at some point perturbing things out in the outer reaches of our solar system, knocking rocks into the inner system.
Okay, G, before we get into this E3 shenanigans, we've geeked out enough about the solar system. Tell me about what T2 have been doing to GTA 5 and the modding tools, Open4. Ooh, this is delicious. Yes.
Well, I guess you and I, we play primarily on consoles. It's some of the other guys who like their PC stuff. And the thing they always throw in our face is, oh, you should play on PCs because 17K and 200 frames per second and mudding. Now, we can mud things on consoles now, but it's always been that thing, oh, we can mud things in our games, we can change them, right?
I agree, yes.
So, there was some screaming first when GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5, came out on consoles before PC. Go, no, we can't mud it, and then it came out on PC, yay, we can mud it. Except now Take-Two, who are the company that technically owns the game, they've gone out and said to these modders that run Open4, you're no longer allowed to mod things because you can apparently do things that harass or messes up the online experience and can ruin the single-player experience. So they sent them a cease and desist and told them to stop modding things.
Whoa. Hang on. I thought Rockstar was openly receptive or whatever of mods. I thought they said, yes, come on, mod. This will be fun to do, blah, blah, blah. Mod, have fun, enjoy, increase, enhance, have fun, experience, yay. I thought Rockstar were happy with it. Why are T2 suddenly kicking their toys out the cop?
So that's where the whole stink is, because you're right. Rockstar, the company that developed the damn thing, they are supportive of it. They've even featured Open4 on their website and gone and said, oh, this is the greatest modding tool, etc. But Take-Two is having a lot of issues because the online experience is, well, abysmal in GTA 5. Not the playing itself, but it's very easy to do things that ruin the experience for the players. So instead of kind of shoring up the game and protecting players, etc., they've gone out and said, oh, we'll hit down on modders because that's one of the ways that things can be abused. Now, Open4 have done everything they can to avoid being used to abuse the system. They've actually been one of the good guys, done everything they can. They even made sure they comply with laws in every single country they can think of, including Russia. But Take-Two just had some kind of knee-jerk lawyer moment. And the story that's going around is that the cease and desist letter is just poorly written, it's bad English, it's bad legalese, the whole talking about how we're going to sue you if you don't stop doing this. It's just bad in every single way, so it looks like it's really a knee-jerk reaction from somebody inside Take-Two.
You see, I thought Open4 was for the offline play only, and it had nothing to do with the multiplayer side, and the multiplayer side's where all the bad shit's been happening. I thought Open4 was for the offline play, you know? Why are they attacking an offline service?
Well, they say it can be used to degrade the online experience. So, whether it can or not is one of those questions. It's designed to not do it. They've taken steps to make it for the single-player offline modding. But Take-Two says it can be used for the online experience and it can interfere with it, and therefore they want to take it down.
It sounds to me, G, that Take-Two or T2 have just said, fuck it, blanket the whole thing. Everything everything that isn't an official thing from Rockstar themselves is getting shit-canned. That's what it sounds like to me. And it, unfortunately, is going to be killing people that aren't being nefarious with the mods.
Oh yeah, this is, thousands of hours of work. And there's a reason why it's Open4. It's been used in the other GTA games in the past, or various versions have been used in it. So this is just throwing a bunch of work down the toilet and a bunch of goodwill too. If you go on Steam right now, for the last 30 days, there's about 23,000 reviews of this game. Only 21% of them are positive. The rest is just people saying no. And the little thing where it says recent experiences just says mostly negative. People are just hammering it everywhere they can to point out that, this is not good. There's a petition even on change.org. I don't know if that's meant to be used for this, but there's a petition to save Open4, and I don't think that's going to work because one, Take-Two doesn't seem to be particularly into it. They are not talking about it, and the people behind Open4 have already said, yeah, we're not going to bother, it's not worth fighting for.
Yeah, that's a rather sad turn of events, to be honest. When a good guy gets taken down because of all the bad apples in his basket. It's an unfortunate thing.
Yeah, and it hits a little bit home for me. I don't play Grand Theft Auto. it's a nice game. It's just not one that I find fun in the long run. But I played a lot of Kerbal Space Program, as some might know. And Take-Two recently bought Kerbal Space Program like a few weeks back. They bought the game. They bought the development team, Squad. And that's a game where modding is required. You can't make the game work without mod. You can. It's playable. But it's just so much better with the mods. As in, they add a lot of things that the developers just never got around to adding, to the point that a couple of mods have even been adopted, been put into the game as official things. And now people are going, well, if Take-Two doesn't like mods, the Kerbal Space Program team is just, they're done for.
Okay, I'm gonna put out your panic fire right now, okay? You and I don't play Grand Theft Auto, and we are both very aware of the shit that's been going on in the online play. I don't think T2 are gonna be, okay, fucking don't quote me on this, right? I'm not certain, because a video game publisher says one thing and does something completely freaking different, and then comes up with some whimsical freaking excuse to carry on doing what he's doing. Anyway, back to the point I'm trying to make. I don't think T2 are going to be hammering Kerbal Space Program, because that game, as you said before, cannot run without mods. It is effectively a broken game without mods. But people aren't ruining other people's online experience and then damaging the image of T2 or KSP or whatever with that. Whereas Grand Theft Auto, because it's so freaking hackable or slashable or crackable or whatever you want to fucking call it, is damaging the reputation of the company and causing the people frustration and anger. So that's why they did a blanket no mods thing. I don't think T2 are anti-mod. I just think they're anti-mod in this instance. However, now that I've stood up for T2, in a small degree, I'm about to be shot down in fucking flames. But, I'll bend over and take it up the arse for that one, I think. I don't think T2 are going to be going to KSP and tearing up all the mods. I really don't think so. I really don't. It's just in this one instance. Which, as you said, it was a knee-jerk reaction, which means they didn't actually take the time and the effort to go and seek out and source out the good guys. They just... fuck it, do it. And they did it, and this is the result. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen, G.
Yeah, it's not the case that, KSP is dependent on online play, although that might be coming. It's been talked about a lot. But I think the place where people are worried mostly for KSP is that Take-Two is still going to try and optimize revenue and then make everything DLC and even make DLCs that matches modules, etc. And that way end up having to say, well, your module, please don't make that anymore because we're now making something in-game that has more or less the same feature set. And they'll just start chopping the game into small pieces and selling it bit by bit.
Yay! Do what Activision did to Destiny and Bungie did to Activision. Yay!
Anyways, it's just one of those. It came up and it's a shitstorm, and it was an interesting time to do it right in the middle of E3 week, as if they could hide it somehow. And they're just getting so much hate over it. And at some point, I kind of understand it. They should focus on fixing the actual issues in the multiplayer version, not just hitting these guys.
Agreed. More time spent fixing the issues rather than trying to put the fire out with a blanket the size of a frickin' dried up napkin.
But hey, let's move on a little bit just to cover the news, and then we can run over to E3. I had one item I found interesting, and it stays a little bit in the same area because it's legalese. It's the whole who's getting sued now, and you're familiar with the concept of torrents and BitTorrent and illegal piratey, both software and TV shows, etc.
Yes, I use the internet. I am very aware of torrent. Very aware.
Yeah, at one point there was something like half the traffic on the internet was pirated stuff. And one of the big sites, I guess up until 2015, January 2015, was KickassTorrents, a Polish site run by a Ukrainian guy who got sued, and his website got basically taken. It was a weird concept, but the American authorities took the website. Like, they took the web address and said, well, if anybody looks up this web address, they're going to end up on a page belonging to some US department of the FBI or what have you, that says, oh, this website has been seized, and I think they call it ICE. Not sure what that's short for. And they managed to get the Polish to sue the guy and to drag him to court. And he's basically been in prison for a long time while defending, because, hey, he ran a website for BitTorrent, therefore he needs to be in prison without bail.
Okay, I want to know what and why and where and how. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so the the thing is, he's been in prison in Poland while they deliberated his case. America wants him extradited, which normally is something you do when it's major crimes. He didn't really make a lot of money on it, and it's not like torrenting is technically the same as copyright infringement. It's one of those gray areas where, depending on the law in each country, it varies a little bit. But America went balls to the wall. They just wanted him handed over and hurt. And the latest is they've said, oh yeah, he could actually be extradited. The courts in Poland says that could happen. So he, Anthem, the guy who's being sued for this, he's turned around and said, well, if America can promise a fair trial, he will actually come to America. And that resulted in absolute silence.
Wait, what? So they weren't going to give him a fair trial? I thought this was all... Okay, look, he's... in my eyes, everyone's guilty, mate. I mean, holy shit. Who here on the internet hasn't used the torrent site? Good God. So I'd like him to point fingers as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a little bit the whole headache. Is this illegal? To what extent and how? And he's been locked away. He wasn't allowed to meet with his attorney or counsel for the US case. They're the ones who are actually bringing this one forward. And, you know, at that point, we're talking a human rights violation. You should always be allowed to talk to your defense attorney. It's just, that's defined in various charters and papers, etc., that I think every country in the Western world have signed. But that was even denied. So it's one of those, it's just been a shitstorm end to end, that they are pressing this case on him. The way they're doing it, particularly, the way they're demanding that US law be followed in Poland, and the way that he's now saying, well, I will come to the US so we can settle this, and then the US not reacting to it.
Well, you're right, G. A fair trial in whatever crime you've committed is a basic human right. Even though you've committed a horrible crime, you still have the basic human rights. Blah, blah, blah. Long story, blah, blah, blah. If America's not going to offer him a basic human right, mate, then maybe he should do like a jailbreak thing and then like run away.
Yeah. But here's some of the fun stats, because I was looking up this case, because it's been going on since, January, February 2015. And it's just stupid in various ways. Like, the website is down. You can't use it. You haven't been able to use it for now over 2 years. Last month, Google received takedown notices, something like 1,300 takedown notices against the site. It's going like, the site doesn't exist. The copyright holders, and here we're talking about movie companies, companies that produce software, companies that produce TV shows, they are still filing takedown notices for a site that doesn't exist. At what point does this become, farcical? At what point do they show up and say, perhaps we made a mistake, perhaps we shouldn't try to sue somebody for things that are no longer even technically possible?
Yeah, this is where the Bamm's legal brain starts falling apart, because this just doesn't make sense. It's a clusterfuck from start to finish, mate, to be brutally honest. Yeah, fun.
But yeah, sorry, I know it's a legal thing, and it's just one of those things where the internet has just failed some people, particularly these copyright holders, and our reactions to it, because, it involves the internet, to throw a man in jail and denying him the right to see an attorney. No, stop with that. It's the internet, but it's not that scary.
Right, is that our news segment over? Are we going to please get E3 out the way, boss man?
Well, let's take 5 minutes and listen to something, and then we'll be right back with some E3.
Yay, E3, yay!
This is good, and if you like bacon, then come listen to us at Rated R.
Hello guys, and welcome to our opinions of E3 2017, and a bit of updates and newsy type stuff and things that we might have found interesting. Mostly everybody else, because I didn't see the point of E3 this year. Last year's E3 was abysmal and horrible and boring, so I kind of gave up this year. But I've been told I have to do it by an evil overlord, so I'm doing it with you. And speaking of overlords and evilness, G, go on then. Since you actually paid attention to E3, what were the games that you found interesting, sir?
Well, I guess first and foremost, the biggest headache with us being here in Europe is that half the presentations are in the middle of the night. Sony's was at 3 o'clock for me, 2 o'clock for you, in the middle of the night. Come on, that doesn't work. So I mostly watched all the other stuff, but there were a few games that, showed up that was interesting. The big one for me was Anthem. the Destiny with flying people and very easy mode killing stuff.
Okay. Is that the one where the monkey was swearing?
No, that was Beyond Good and Evil. Very different game.
That's about the only memorable thing from E3, about a monkey swearing and a pig got angry or something.
Well, that was, Ubisoft's Beyond Good and Evil. And I saw people were joking, oh yeah, there'll be a Good and Evil 2 and I'll buy everybody pizzas if it's there. And then it showed up. And it was quite a bit of a surprise for people. But it's a prequel to the previous Good and Evil. And you have to kind of fight for the rights of these animal-human hybrids, apparently. If people remember the previous, or if they've seen this trailer, so there's, a pig that's half pig, half human, and the monkey that was super intelligent, etc., at least compared to regular monkeys. And a lot of swearing.
Well, that was probably the only thing that caught my eye on E3. Fair enough. Believe it or not, rather. I was playing on a video game, and someone mentioned, I just watched a presentation from Ubisoft. There was a chimp that was swearing. Haha, funny. I'm like, oh really? That sounds cool, and carried on playing. Oh, I'm gonna be the doom and gloom for this one, G.
Well, on Good and Evil, they showed a trailer, but that was all just, animation and pretty. They didn't show gameplay as far as I could tell. I didn't see any, at least. It might have been in one of the other presentations. But if it's as good as the previous one, because the previous one was good, this might work really well. And they promise things like interstellar travels, you go to a lot of different places, and seamless online play, which is kind of the thing these days. You don't have to go out and hook up with people and make squads and then go in and play, but that you can, meet up with people in the storyline and then work together. That has my interest. The question is, is it gonna come out anytime soon? When? What platforms? Because I went to the website, it didn't even show what platforms they're expecting to release it on. I saw it in the Microsoft presentation, so that platform probably, but PS4, Switch, no idea.
Well, we can safely say it's not going to come out on Switch. Safely say that, because as many as the developers say they will put support to it, again, devs say some things and do other things completely different. So, anyway, so what you're saying is Beyond Good and Evil is all pre-rendered footage and not actually any game footage. That tells me it'll be a 2018 game.
Probably yes. And it's also, to me, that's usually a red flag. If they don't show the actual gameplay, even early gameplay, I'm not too optimistic about the game.
I mean, I know Ubisoft's doing some really nasty, shady stuff right now, but good God, they can make some half-good games sometimes, when they put their minds to it. So let's hope that Good and Evil does come out end of the year, for Christmas. I doubt that, because I've only seen you've only seen rendered footage, so yeah, let's hope it does come out.
Yeah. But I said the other one that really caught my eye, Anthem, this whole idea that you are a freelancer and you can be part of a group and go out, discover different areas, and you apparently fly around Iron Man style and find enemies and solve story bits. That one for me, was the big one. I said it looks very Destiny-ish, and the demo was boring, but at least there was gameplay. It's one of those. Look how easy it is to fly up to these enemies, auto-target 20 of them, and fire 20 missiles to kill each of them. That didn't tell me that the game is going to be interesting. That just tells me it's going to be easy mode. But it's Bioware. Come on. Bioware. I love their games, Knights of the Old Republic, Neverwinter Nights, Dragon Age, Mass Effect. I'm really into them. But is this thing going to be just like Destiny and have the shittiest, most irrelevant story? Or is it going to have story in it and dialogues, etc., that are worth paying attention to, because that's kind of BioWare's bread and butter. So this one, I'm curious where it's gonna go. I'm definitely following it, but it can go both ways.
So you see, BioWare made Dragon Age, right? Dragon Age is absolutely brilliant. I love Dragon Age series. Love it. The third one was a bit pants, personally, but the ones leading up to it were okay. The first one was fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Loved the first one. And I really hope that this doesn't sound like a Destiny / No Man's Sky.
Yeah, that's just the big question that is unanswered in my opinion. What's the story? What's the storytelling? Narrative and narration for me is paramount in a game. Is this just going to be a Destiny ripoff, or is it going to be a Bioware game?
Well, I was referencing No Man's Sky and the fact that it dies. Not the fact that it you fly around in spaceships and have no story arc or no whatever have you. Just the fact that it's Destiny-ish game, but then dies horribly.
Yeah, another one. This one you should have been more excited about. You didn't see the Marvel Spider-Man at all, did you?
No.
local would
I didn't
return,
like any of the Spider-Man
but not that
games.
day.
Never played them. Didn't interest
The
me
wreck of the
at all.
launch
I read the
ship
comic
yielded a
books, some of them,
survivor.
but Spider-Man.
Someone who could help the orphan
I
take to the
didn't. It didn't
waters
really capture
once
my
more.
imagination or capture my interest. Very little has. I won't lie, G. Very little has.
So this one, I mean, the first thing is it's Insomniac, and Insomniac games make, in my opinion, awesome games. Ratchet and Clank, I think, is one of the things you've been into in the past.
Ratchet and Clank. That rings a bell. Why does it ring a bell?
Yeah, I think you played that in the past. But these guys know how to make good games, and they are particularly good at utilizing the Sony hardware, because they tend to work quite closely with Sony. And people are talking about this as, as Spider-Man having a Arkham-style gameplay. Arkham was a pretty good game, and the mechanics work quite well in it. The big headache with what they presented is, it looks very much like it was QuickTime events. Here's Spider-Man swinging through the city, and there's an incident and he has to stop it and save people. And, press X now to sling out some web to catch something. Oh, that didn't seem particularly good. They didn't show much of the actual combat. They showed some, hence the Arkham-style reference, but I would have loved to see more of that part and perhaps see more story bits. And at some point it's interesting, Spider-Man is known for not killing people. So are they going to make a game where you have, shooting mechanics, fighting mechanics, but you have to pin the enemy, you cannot kill them? There's some options there.
So, Arkham-style Spider-Man. Dark, horrible, gruesome, dreary. That might actually work.
I think the reference is mostly to the game mechanics, less about the setting. I think they're still going to keep it nice and shiny, because let's remember who owns the rights to the game and to everything Spider-Man. But they don't like dark things. Good old Sony.
So tell me about the Sea of Thieves, G.
Well, basically, and this is why it's a shame we don't have Jolly here, but unfortunately he had to run away. Sea of Thieves and then Skull and Bones, which are two games that are both pirate games. Sea of Thieves is made by Rare and Microsoft. I guess Rare is now a Microsoft studio. Skull and Bones is made by Ubisoft. And they take on this whole sailing around in, I guess, the Caribbean, and being a pirate and finding loot and fighting against other players, multiplayer gameplay. But Sea of Thieves goes this whole cartoony, it's fun, it's exaggerated, it's a bit cel-shaded, run around fighting really ugly, silly looking skeletons, and where you control a character. So there might be 4 or 5 of you on a ship, and one of you has to steer the ship, another one have to man the sails, etc. Somebody have to man a cannon. You can imagine for you that's gonna be fun. Whereas Skull and Bones, you just control the whole ship, and that one's based off of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. You remember that? There was a whole sailing thing. They turned that into a game, and Skull and Bones it looks more realistic, to the point where we can talk about it being realistic. It looks more competitive, where Sea of Thieves looks more like it's focusing, or not focusing, but it has more attention to the PvE and just finding treasure, finding loot, diving down to sunken boats and steal whatever's there. Where Skull and Bones is, can you get 2 ships and gang up on a third player and shoot him?
You did point out something that Assassin's Creed did a whole lot of piratey, shippy type things, and that kind of brought the piratey ship game back to life, really. So yeah, we can thank Assassin's Creed for that. But that keeps me interested. Yes, this game might interest me actually. I do watch a lot of Black Sails, so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I believe it or not, South Africa had a lot of piratey type histories as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I want to see how they go. Are they going to go full on historic, or are they going to go in their own little world? So it'll be fun to see how they do it.
Well, I think Skull and Bones is the only one who can really make any claims to be, I don't know, historically accurate, but having ships that are realistic. Sea of Thieves, too much cartoony.
Fair enough. So G, tell me now, did they announce a new Mario Kart game?
I don't know if there was a Mario Kart. There was a bunch of Mario things, but in all of the Nintendo presentation, there was a grand total of 1 item that caught my eye. And yeah, I know people are expecting me to say the Odyssey game, but no, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is Mario that everybody knows, the plumber meeting Rabbids. Remember Rabbids? It's this French cartoon thing that got turned into a game. Those two in the same game, and then some kind of XCOM style strategy game where they have to work together against a common evil that has invaded Mario's land.
Okay, sounds incredibly boring. It was going to be a case I was going to take the piss out of Drac, because all Nintendo sell are Zelda and Mario Kart games and that brawler game they keep doing, that Smash Bro brawler game, whatever. The only 3 games that Nintendo actually make and sell. So there's that.
Well, I think you're kind of right in that this time it's different Mario games, but it's just more Mario games and Zelda stuff, and it's not the most interesting.
No, when it comes to Nintendo, they tend to kick the dead Mario horse, and off falls a piece of dead, rotting flesh of Mario or a Mario-type game, and they just plug that into the system and it works. Honestly, there's been nothing interesting on Nintendo since... Dare I say it?
Yes.
Mario.
Well, at least now they're trying. I mean, this one, Kingdom Battle, is an XCOM style-ish game. That whole strategy, turn-based, that's different from the other games, even if it's still Mario, and then Rabbids. And the Odyssey, where you have to solve things by throwing Mario's hat onto different characters and then taking over, so that you become a frog or a Goomba or whatever. There are new mechanics, even if it's set in the same storyline. So yeah, they're definitely beating a Mario horse that's been long dead-ish. But they're trying new things with the gameplay. I think they should be applauded for that.
Okay, look. I've been unfairly harsh on Nintendo for these sorts of things, and it's a bit silly of me saying that the only the interesting thing to come out of Nintendo is Mario. That's very unfair for me. So there are plenty of games. I just want something new and refreshing from Nintendo, and I tell you what, maybe they shouldn't make a Mario Kart 12 or whatever the frickin' number it is now, and maybe they should make a Smash Bros. And maybe they should make a new Mario game and make something else. I'm just sick and tired of seeing the same old. Your Mario Kart race, what is it now? 15? 16? 19? I don't know. Too many Mario Kart games. Holy shit.
Well, Mario Kart, I'm sure there'll be a new one, even if I didn't particularly notice one. Just to make more use of Switch.
Okay. So, will there be Wolfenstein 2 on the Switch? Because I believe Bethesda pledged support for the Nintendo Switch, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Wolfenstein 2, I guess, that's been rumored for a while now. It's finally officially been revealed. But not on Switch. It's coming out on PC, Windows 10 thing, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Xbox One X, and Xbox One X, X1. Later this year even. It's supposed to be coming out already in October, end of October. But damn, if you haven't seen the trailer for that one, go watch it. That trailer is several kinds of weird and crazy and fun.
But that's Wolfenstein. World War II, Nazi, cybernetic sort of shooter, shotgun, god mode, juices, cards, keys, robot Nazis, evil Hitler. That's Wolfenstein to a T, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the original Wolfenstein, not so much back then. It was just, shoot Nazis, and then a lot of demons. But yeah, they've gone all out. Giant robotic dogs that spew fire, and storyline that is set, in the US now that the Nazi Empire and its cyber warriors have traveled over there, and you have to take back the US. It's a different take on a World War II shooter, I would have to say. And this one just looks like it's more crazy than the previous Wolfenstein. And one of the phrases that came out from Bethesda, or one of the directors actually, was that this one is fucking bananas. Sorry, that's a quote. Have to use it.
So they know it's going to go crazy, gorish, and to the point where it might be a bit too silly? Do you reckon they might be doing that?
It'll definitely kind of push the whole suspension of disbelief. It's a little bit much in some areas, at least on the gameplay part. The story part, I mean...
A little bit much.
Yeah.
A little bit much. Have you played any of the Wolfensteins, mate? A little bit much. There's nothing that is just a little bit much in Wolfenstein, my man.
Okay, fair enough. This one just pushes it a little bit further.
By the sounds of things, pushes it over the edge, off a cliff, and is now free falling.
Well, I guess it's one of those, if you haven't played Doom, if you haven't played Wolfenstein, this game is quite a bit out there. But if you played those two, this is just more of the same. It's more of the same, at least in terms of Wolfenstein, so... It's probably not over a cliff for those that have that experience. For those that don't, this one is going to be a stretch.
To be brutally honest, man, I am surprised that Wolfenstein 2 is coming out this year and not next year. I'm surprised they brought out bring Wolfenstein out 2 already, so soon, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what my notes say. October 27.
Yep. October 27, according to what I'm reading here as well, mate.
But it's going to be one of those, I don't think I'll be playing it, just because at one point that becomes repetitive to me. There's other things I like instead. But it looks like it's going to be good fun to play.
I'll stream it to your face, mate.
Do you know what I would rather do? I'd rather play Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, what's that?
Well, you should know it. It's the latest one is just... It's a series of game, Monster Hunter, where it's about going out and killing big monsters. It's a bit boring, but Monster Hunter World, they're calling the latest one. It's an action RPG game where you hunt monsters, but now in an online setting with up to 4 players. PvE. So you think giant dinosaurs and stuff like that you have to kill. It has a little bit of Dragon's Dogma feel, at least when I'm looking at the trailers. And this 4-player PvE, probably fits me better than, for example, Wolfenstein, and that get together with 3 friends and then figuring out how to take down a giant T-Rex.
Sounds like a Final Fantasy / No Man's Sky.
There's some Final Fantasy in it. It has one of those things that I personally dislike, which is characters running around with swords that are clearly larger than themselves. That's a level of stupid. But gameplay-wise, it looks good. Visually, it looks really nice. The landscape, when you're inside these jungles and the trees and all the grass and all that, it looks really good, which might just be really, really, really pre-rendered. But if that's gameplay, I think it could be good fun. I think it will make for a good PvE group experience.
I'll have you know, most of those Final Fantasy swords exist. There's a guy out there on the YouTubes called Mike Cthulhu who actually makes them, and they work.
And how heavy are they?
Oh, dude, these swords are bigger than him and weigh about just as much. He has to put a full-on freaking body lift into the thing, and then he had to let it free fall onto a stump. These things are bloody heavy. But the swords exist, is the point I'm trying to make. The swords exist.
Yeah, you know what? I like regular swords. I like medieval equipment, not to the point that I have it decorating my home, but in terms of that being functional, it makes sense in games. Look at For Honor. Does it perfectly. I don't need a sword that is 2 meters long and 1 meter wide to take down a T-Rex. I want something that's a little bit more sane.
Pretty sure it's called a fan or a skillet, not a sword, G.
Sharp metallic object needed for chopping things down.
Right, G, is there anything else that caught your eye at E3? Are there any indie games out there that we need to discuss? Because we are predominantly an indie site and we're just discussing all this AAA no expense spared gamage. Are there any indie games out there that we need to discuss, mate?
Well, 2 topics that I think are relevant on the indie side, or could be relevant, we should say. One was the amount of websites that had to come out and say, stop pitching indie games during E3 week. They don't pay attention to them. It's just, this past week has been the wrong week to try and push your indie game. It's been drowned out to the extent that anybody at E3 there was an indie area, no news, not that I saw, not that came up on my lists. And it wasn't as in I went out and looked for it, I didn't, sorry. It just didn't come up at all, anywhere. It's buried in the AAA noise. It's not like Gamescom. Gamescom, there's less AAA noise, I guess. There's just less focus on Gamescom. And therefore the indie games can come to the surface. E3, no. Apologies. I know that people out there saying, oh, I heard about this game and that game. And there were indie games presented at Sony's presentation, at Microsoft's presentation, etc. It's just not what ends up with the focus.
To quote a phrase, you can't stop the signal, man. You can't stop the signal. The indie games will rule the roost once again one day, hopefully.
Well, we'll be back with some already next week, so pay attention there. But one curious thing that might be relevant for the indies, Atari is releasing a new console. It'll be a new home console from Atari.
You hear what? Atari's making a console.
Well, that's the weird part. It isn't Atari. Atari went bankrupt making the Jaguar 2 console and then got bought by somebody who went bankrupt and got bought by somebody else who went bankrupt. This is something like the 5th incarnation of something named Atari. It's somebody who bought just the name, just the rights to the name apparently. And they're saying they're making a PC-based console. And in order to have gain for it, I fully expect that they'll go out and try to get as many indies to make games for it as possible.
So a Steam box then?
That's my prediction. A lot of people are not keen on saying that it'll be a Steam box, but that's the only thing I can see that they can do. that won't bury them in expenses.
Make a Steam box. Make a Steam box. Make a Steam box. You'll be praised as a god. Make a Steam box.
The only thing they've actually fully confirmed is 1, they're working on it, and 2, it will have wood paneling, similar to the old ones from the 1980s.
Ah, so nostalgia then.
Yeah, there's going to be some nostalgia effect, but they say it's PC based. So I'm thinking Steam box plus a Atari emulator full of old games. Similar to the whole, the last 2 years where there's been these NES systems. And similar to, I don't know if you've seen them, you can get these joysticks that plugs into the TV, like there's an HDMI cable on it and a power cable. And then it's just like an old Atari joystick. And it has games built into it. It has the whole software. There's an ARM computer similar to what's in your phone. And you play Atari games. So I think they're going to try and capitalize on that as well.
Cool idea, bro. Cool idea.
But yeah, that was really the weird one coming out of E3. A new Atari.
Well, I honestly hope they don't go bankrupt again. Awesome.
Yeah, but that's pretty much everything that I kind of found interesting. And there were other bits that were interesting. There was a lot of news and a lot of things. But, we're coming up on the hour. We had to kind of narrow it down. And these were the ones that I'm interested in. I'm sorry that Sea of Thieves will be on Microsoft platforms only. I would love to play that. Mario and Rabbids will be on Switch, so I'm probably gonna skip that, but I know Draconis will be looking forward to it. Wolfenstein 2 looks awesome. Monster Hunter looks like it's gonna be good fun. Skull and Bones, again, it looks like it's gonna be good fun. It looks like it's gonna have some level of realism, but not too much. And I think that'll make a good multiplayer game, but I think Sea of Thieves will have it beaten. And then I said Anthem is just going to be the big one for me. I'm looking forward to that one. From what I've seen, I'm going to play that instead of Destiny 2.
Well, G, thank you for actually paying attention to E3. I was disillusioned and downtrodden from last year's E3, and you've actually brought a little spark of hope, a little ray of sunshine in my otherwise dark world when it comes to E3. Thank you very much, G.
Well, now we know it. Next year we'll have to send you.
Wait, what? No. What? No, I'm not going to go to America, mate. I'm not going to go to E3 and wait in fucking queues for 4 hours to play a 20-minute bloody game. No. I'll probably just sit there in a chair and look at all these morons standing in a bloody queue. That's what I'll do.
Anyways, I don't think I have anything else. Otherwise, see you in a week.